Thank you. Good morning. Today, we're speaking about an investigation that is a first in Canada, and one that highlights how quickly the landscape of crime is evolving. This investigation, dubbed Project Lighthouse, involves the use of a mobile SMS blaster, a sophisticated device designed to mimic a cellular tower, intercept connections, and send fraudulent text messages directly to people's phones. It's a technology that until now had not been detected operating anywhere in this country. What makes this particularly concerning is the scale and impact. This wasn't targeting a single individual or a business. It had the ability to reach thousands of devices at once. And beyond the financial risk, there are real public safety implications. For instance, when devices are diverted from legitimate networks, even briefly, it interferes with a person's ability to connect to emergency services like 911. This is a clear example of how cyber-enabled crime is becoming more advanced, more mobile, and more difficult to detect, and why policing must continue to evolve alongside it. I want to recognize that the outstanding work of our members, particularly the Coordinated Cyber Centre, or C3, within our intelligence unit. Their expertise, persistence, and collaboration were critical in identifying and disrupting this activity. I also want to thank our policing partners, including the RCMP's National Cybercrime Coordination Centre, Federal Policing in Central Region, York Regional Police, Hamilton Regional Police Service, and private sector partners who supported this investigation from the beginning. This kind of work does not happen in isolation. Finally, I want to remind the public that while this technology is new in Canada, the goal of the crime is not, and that's to gain access to your personal and financial information. Staying cautious and informed remains one of the most effective ways to protect yourself. I'll now turn it over to Detective Sergeant Riddell, who will walk you through the investigation in more detail.
Thank you, Deputy. As mentioned, this investigation began in November 2025 when a cybersecurity partner alerted law enforcement to a suspected SMS blaster operating in downtown Toronto. The image you see here is an example of an SMS blaster from an investigation in the UK. The ones we seized in Toronto were uniquely built, and we're not sharing those publicly for safety reasons. Through the course of the investigation, we determined the device was mobile and being run out of a vehicle, which allowed it to move throughout the Greater Toronto Area and be used in multiple locations. An SMS blaster works by mimicking a legitimate cellular tower. When people's phones connect to it, they receive fraudulent text messages that appear to come from trusted organizations, often directing them to click a link. Those links lead to fake websites designed to steal personal information, including banking credentials and passwords. This is commonly known as smishing. We believe tens of thousands of devices connected to the blaster over several months. We also identified more than 13 million network disruptions where devices were unable to properly connect to legitimate cell towers. That's significant because during those moments, access to services like 911 could be impacted. On March 31st, 2026, investigators executed criminal code search warrants at residences in Markham and Hamilton. 2 men were arrested, and we seized a large quantity of electronic evidence, including several SMS blasters. On April 21st, 2026, a 3rd man turned himself into police. In total, 3 men have been charged with 44 offenses, including fraud and mischief-related charges. This investigation involved close coordination with our partners, including the RCMP's National Cybercrime Coordination Centre and Federal Policing Central Region, York Regional Police, Hamilton Police Service, as well as financial institutions and telecommunications providers. Their support was critical in helping us identify and disrupt this activity. I also want to take a moment to remind the public of a few key steps you can take to protect yourself. If you receive a text message you weren't expecting, do not click on any links. Be cautious of messages claiming to be from legitimate organizations requesting payment. Only access your banking through official apps or by typing the website directly into your browser. And never share your personal or login information through unsolicited messages. If you believe you've been a victim of fraud, we encourage you to report it to the police. Thank you, and I'll now take any questions.
From CBC Toronto. Can you give us an idea? I mean, this sounds quite sophisticated. Are there any tells for people who maybe receive a fraudulent message through this kind of smishing activity, what to look out for?
So it's for something like this, it's not like with a SIM swap where you would actually notice on your phone that there's a difference on your phone. It's just you can receive fraudulent text messages. It could or could not be related to an SMS blaster. We're pretty confident that we've dealt with all of them, and there will be no further risk in the City of Toronto for this. But just for any fraudulent text messages, we just encourage, if you do get them, not to click on any links, and especially when they're asking for any type of payment or anything like that, especially parking fines.
How can you be sure that there aren't more of these out there?
With our first arrests, we were then still monitoring for the connections, and they've significantly decreased.
Are you aware of victims associated with this, people who fell victim to this and are out money or their identity is compromised?
That's part of our ongoing investigation, and that's why we feel that if you have been a victim of a fraud where you've clicked a link through a text message, we do want people to report it to the police, because we're actively searching our reports to the Toronto Police Service for these types of cases to then see if it's related to this investigation.
Are you willing to name the cybersecurity partner who alerted you to this?
Not at this time.
Any other questions? I guess there's no dollar value loss in terms of how much money has been lost.
Not at this time, just because the investigation is still ongoing, and we're not stopping here. We're still looking to identify other victims to get a total loss amount.
Do you have a sense if you were working with any large organized crime groups or anything like that?
No, we did not.
You mentioned that texts are connected to reputable organizations, someone people might recognize. Would that be, for example, if someone's bank reached out and said your account is compromised? Can you give us an example of an organization that would be considered reputable to someone?
It could be any of the local banks. We've been reaching out to all of them to identify if there's any types of patterns. It could be anything from 407 parking tickets. It's very common for us to get spammed text messages. I can't single out a specific organization, but we have been in conversations with all of the different organizations to see who is essentially a victim as well.
Deputy Chief, I'm sure you're aware of the allegations that former Inspector Hank has made regarding his time here. Chief among them, an officer more senior than him, referring to a kosher barbecue as a Jew Q, referring to a junior officer as an effing Jew, and referring to a lawyer as an effing Jew. What efforts have been made to identify this officer, and are they still employed here?
So thank you for that question. What I can tell you is that we are reaching out to the retired member to have him formally come forward to provide us some details so that we can investigate these serious allegations. What is unfortunate, while he was with the organization, he had a duty and a responsibility to provide that information so that we could conduct an investigation at the time. I find it a bit odd that he himself would, stand before members of the public and the media specifically and ask people to come forward to help us to solve serious crimes. And if he was aware of member misconduct, I think he had a duty and a responsibility to make the organization aware through mechanisms that we have in place so that we can deal with this. We take this very seriously, and as I had mentioned, we are going to reach out to Hank to have him provide us with some details so we can make sure we can look at this. So I can't tell you who it involves or any of that because I don't know.
One final question?
Just to follow up on the point you made, though, he says that he felt during his time here that officers who would come forward with complaints or concerns
So, it's easy to say those things without details. If that's his experience, that's very unfortunate. But he held a very senior position, very respected individual, a great career at the Toronto Police Service. And I'm sure he could have found an ally or somebody who he could have confided with, come forward to help us address these concerns. So, we'll find that all out. I hope that he, takes the opportunity to sit with our folks to provide that information so that we can, we can get to the bottom of it.